Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel, and we're once again back with Rengar because too often I receive questions about how do I snowball games, how do I take over games, how do I close them early, how do I make sure the enemy doesn't scale or get out of hand. And you know, just through casual scouting to see what we could find, we found some good stuff. Runes on your screen now, standard Conqueror page, obviously that is the de facto playstyle. However, Electrocute is always your single target stonkier rune, but the perma-stacking of Conqueror plus a healing, it's just so good for bush play, and we'll see that soon at the beginning of this video. Now, we are against a Lilia, and when you are a Rengar, if you are AFK farm clearing, if you are really not making the first move, if you're not being the aggressor, you're missing an opportunity to really actually take over, and in order to be a perfect Rengar gamer, sometimes you have to take it to passive, boring farming junglers, as we will do here. Uses the bush trick for a blue buff stun. Now you might be thinking, hold up, why is he beginning on the blue buff? That's because the world doesn't live and die with the red buff. It also means that your bottom lane can get level 2 cryo, especially if the enemy bottom lane has leashed. Missing mana, late to lane, they get control over this, but has Guardian, so shield does work there. It's a Lilia, and you know she's gonna 5-6 camp, and you will not be able to match that speed. Specifically in the single target clear here. I mean, if you do this, your level 3 is still quite quick because of the W buffs, but now with the single target stuff, the loss of Machete, it is handicapped a little bit. But ask yourself, why would he do this? Why would you shift your clear from what is known to be good into something completely radically different? The thing is, currently, going through the minds of the enemy team as well as the jungler is, okay, I got a leash, I'm starting here, I'm going upside, the not leashed the Rengar, and he's going down here. So this lane immediately has to think, right, maybe Rengar is going to try something. And, you know, that's kind of scary. I play a lot of bottom lane, as I keep saying, and when you have to leash and the enemy bottom lane doesn't, not only can you lose level 2 prio in certain matchups, but even if you win those level 2s or you push it or you have lane control, in the back of your mind is, great, I'm pushing, this guy's going to come down. You have to know, whoops, you have to understand your wave control so that it rebounds or it pushes back into you, that you don't get ganked at that 2:30, 3-minute mark. However, for a Rengar player, ganks pre-6 are not our forte. Yes, it can be done, lane ganks are obviously supreme, W nice heal. As you can see, this is where he's going. Now, he didn't ward early, but this is good because we know from the previous Rengar video, slapping a ward here for the Krog jump, very easy. You can also start with the control ward now to get that jump also. Not that I'm a huge fan of that strategy, I get it, but with the meta shift, I still think junglers need to look more at these invades, these ganks, remove farming junglers from their comfort zone. Now, this is just arrogant clearing. We're in a Challenger, Grandmaster, Master Tier Elo or such. This is just greedy by the Lilia. I mean, he wards here in anticipation. If she flashes over, she dead, which is why he kept the trinket, didn't swap it to red. And 2, he can actually go ahead and steal this as well. This is just good reads and understands the timing of the enemy jungler. She's gonna always be here, so let's kill her and take the red buff. This is something that led me to make the first early game jungle video way back when Rengar was shifted to the, you know, like the swim queue, the AoE queue. We would just do this, a few of these and this, walk up here and invade on repeat. On repeat. And the crab hadn't yet, you know, developed into a thing that was like a level 2 meta. It was season 7. And it was just so free every single time. And I think Rengar players sometimes have forgotten the strength of the champion, specifically with these full clearing junglers. Now, what can we do? Very easily hop over and take this. However, you know the Lilia is probably thinking, okay, I have 2 choices. I can head on down to the bottom side, potentially fill this crab. She's already spawned at this point, right? So you trying to go for this, gives you prio over this. Over this, you have bot push now that they know Rengar isn't down here, but you don't have any camp here, and you assume at this point the Rengar is going to try and look to go down to the bottom side. So at this point, do you go for Krugs? It's probably the safer play, assuming that Rengar will transition down to the red side and the bottom crab, specifically your bot's pushing as well. Now, what this means is Rengar can actually translate that into a mid lane gank, and the Katarina is showing no respect here whatsoever. You know? We see the Lilia actually going to the Krugs for the safe play. No respect for this. I don't know why. We know the Rengar's still there. They're just assuming Rengar's on the Krugs. Now, if you assume that Rengar is on the Krugs, there we go. Why would you play like this? You know? Because he hasn't shown crossing mid lane at all. So where else would he be? Just a bit of arrogance there by the laners. Lilia shows on the Krugs here thinking, haha, big brain play. At the very least, I get my camp here and then I can look to gank top lane. But again, this is just bad. You know Rengar is here. Why would you remotely go for this? You know? And if you were paying attention, you see the Rengar here, he wants to do his crab, but he's really looking at the top lane. Like in a video review, we always look at the jungle, we talk about things in the minimap, but in his first person perspective, he's looking at this fight. So, screw the crab. Jump into the Camille. Good night. Free. Now, Lilia, I see this so often. They just go for these plays. You know, and you can say, is this worth it? Is it not? Let's watch. Because this depends now. Champion diff, mechanical diff, and honestly, Rengar in a double bush. Good use of the empowered heal. Leaping back and forward. Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. Camille TP's in, but so does Gnar, so... Close, but well played. I mean, when you have no lockdown CC and the Camille E doesn't go through, free. Now, 5 out of 7 kills to begin, 4-0-1 is not going to happen very often. But my point to you all is, okay, as Senna grabs a whole bunch of kills as well, if Master Tier or so Grandmaster players and laners can misread where the Rengar is and overcompensate their ego by thinking they can actually win these fights, then you cannot possibly come to the channel and any other stream and say, that doesn't happen in Silver. Everyone knows exactly how far to push the limitations. No, they don't. No, they have no idea. You know? And sure, the better play here for the Lilia, knowing that this was warded if she was paying attention when she died, although she might have been in shock, like a literal deer in headlights, that it wasn't warded. Maybe this was her better play. And I honestly think, in this case, probably it was. Because you had bot pressure at the very least. And if Katarina disrespects and Rengar gets a kill and goes up, and you're now down here, you know you've got all of this, right? You know you've got all of this, plus tier 2, plus tier 2. And the Rengar would now be really starved. So this is greed jungling by the Lilia to go for this. And now we've got a roam here by the Pike. This is just standard support stuff. When you burn sums and your laner's dead and you've got disparate back timers with your ADC, roam to a lane. Always good, very nice. And Rengar can go straight to the bottom side. Now he's got, you know, normally a serrated Dirk is pretty good. But we got a Warhammer as well. So, let's farm it up. The ignoring of the Krugs. You notice that that's quite often done now. It's just so out of the way. I mean, we could do it, but you know that the Lilia is sequencing up, right? Like her camps are spawning in this direction. So again, if you do this, then this, you're wasting time. If you do this up, you're wasting time. What we want to do is get level 6. Do we need Krugs to get level 6 here? No. We can easily do a 3 camp rather. Raptors, well, Red Raptors, Wolves Gromp to get 6. And now we can lane gank this. You see this thread already? She's still 5, 6, boom. And now we can look to go. But I still think it was a little soon. I wouldn't have pulled the trigger unless the Gnar was like, if she goes in with her E, and the Gnar is really close to Mega, now you press it. Now you press it and you go. On the other hand, he's probably scanning with his ult for the Lilia. Don't know exactly where she's at this point, but you would anticipate she's sequenced all the way up and she must be in the vicinity. Hello. Oh, he would have seen that. He would have seen that. I'll refresh it here. So, yeah, he might have seen it right at the end of his ultimate, but I don't think he did because she wasn't in the area when he pressed it. But the fact that he just goes over here, I don't think he 100% knows she's there, but we don't see it in the replay. If you did see it, you make the play. If you don't see it, you make the play. You are so fed that you cannot be afraid to make this play. They're both level 5. He's almost Mega with his ult up. He just hit 6. This is free every day of the week. And he puts... this is a good ult by the Gnar because he pushes it towards the Rengar for the bush jump. That's just great jungling. Again, I know what the Lilia wants to do. I know she didn't do what she should have done, which means I can just sequence up. Sorry if that makes you motion sick. Grab myself another 2 kills. Now, you're 6-0-1 out of 10 kills. Your bottom lane has capitalized. But you notice, even if your bottom lane had not capitalized, even if your bottom lane was doing as you expect bottom lanes to do. It doesn't change your approach here, which is make sure the enemy jungler dies a lot, does not get to scale, is easily counter-ganked, counter-farmed, and counter-jungled. You've gotten a gank on the mid lane. Nice robe by the bard here on the mid side as well. And you've camped the top lane and basically outplayed them and ruined the game for them. This is the kind of stuff you need to make sure you're doing with Rengar. And as with the Kindred video, when we did a perfect Kindred video, the perfect games are not something that happens very often, but it's really nice to see all the things that are considered when you have games like these. Right, we have our Duskblade already completed. That is the thing people are going for again. The 60 AD, 18 Lethality plus 20 haste is just so good overall. Night Stalker passive as well. Yeah, I don't think this is it. He wants to get the cleanse. He has to smite it. Nice hook by the pike. Misses the Ebola, hits the main bowler that we want. Okay, we get the Duskblade proc, so Kai'Sa loses it. Hop onto the ward, hop into the Kai'Sa, hop back in the bush, hop into the Kai'Sa. Miss our bowler again, which is just standard Rengar play. If you're hitting your bowlers, you don't main Rengar. Now they're roaming. The Katarina will look to get some spice from this. Our ult is back up. We can reactivate it. Senate W hits. That's a one-shot if there ever was one. Back in the bush. Got extended range already because of the movement speed. And Katarina is floating with death. He gives that one away because he's generous. Now, this kind of fight, I had something like this with Zyra the other day, and I was like 7-0-2. And I was a support, and I was just, these fights, you just, when you're really in the zone, and you can see what everyone wants to do, and you're at one with your champion, it's not often you get 7-0-4, 7-0-2 starts and such on your champion. But when you do, oh, this feels so good. This is a good feeling. And it makes you want to review the video just to see how did I do that? What was I thinking? What were the rotations? And that's why I like these kind of videos every now and then. I know we've had a lot of, hey, my lane's int, my lane's lose, the world is ending, Turbo Chernobyl team play. This isn't realistic either. I mean, all of this is within the Rengar's control. He made all of this happen through his play. Now that you did that, we have 1300 in pocket. Remember, just quickly, if you don't have a lot of gold early, going for the Ionian Boot Rush, like a lot of junglers, is still very good. If you don't exactly have money for the serrated dog. But as with the Warwick of old, as with the Rengar of old, your goal is to always try and make sure that you have a huge spike early. Now, Katarina is level 6, Bard is level 4, you're level 8. You know, and our Bone Tooth is at 5 stacks. The enemy team wants to skirmish and fight. But you're Rengar. If there is one champion from the jungle that can match Katarina in terms of, hey, I like fighting, it's the Rengar. So, with a lead, you're unbeatable. Now, full sequence up, get your gold. You could look to go directly to this. We're anticipating that the Lilia might try and mix things up. I do not claim to know exactly where she is at this point. She has the choice of resetting after death and sequencing up and then stealing the Herald again. Maybe this was the better play. It's easier to say in hindsight, but I think in-game, I'm thinking twofold. If I go up and then down, 100% I avoid the Rengar because he's now just getting a horrific amount of kills here, going back into his jungle and then sequencing up, which means I avoid him, which is what we want to do in this case, avoid him. We do not want to fight. Lilia likes to skirmish and run around crazy-like, but in this case, you do not win. Could you have thought, listen, I know he's going to do that. Let me sequence up anyway, hit this for defense, and if he isn't there, or if we see him somewhere else, you can sneak the Herald away. This might have been a bit more of a, listen, we're screwed. This is the high-risk play, whereas this is a bit, you sequence down, the Rengar's reset as we see, and by the time you are ready to try something, you're going to have to go back to base, and the Rengar's going to be in the area, so. Hopefully you can see what I'm saying, but we've got the Ionian boots now, we've got the Warhammer. Rengar scanning his approach. Bard is dead. Ult. Come on. Nah, I love it when that happens. And Bard just runs away. And now we can push this. The Lilia here should just reset. I don't think if she has a right... I mean, you can type worth in ult chat, but I still think sequencing up, and then you would have got a free... Right now, you would have got a free Herald, you had Flash, you had ult, and you've got Camille. Now, she's down 2 levels, so when we say let's gank your losing lane, you have to make sure that that's within the flow of the game, you're not going to be outnumbered, and it's a champion you can actually beat. Megana, I don't think we can, but if he goes to Baby Tiny, and you have Super Sleep, she has Ignite, she has ult, I think you can actually kill him. So, you know, this is just tragic. the Lilia was broken on that invade, and that's the point of Rengar, right? The point is to break the minds of your enemy, and if you're not doing that, and you find yourself behind a lot where you're saying, hey, hold up, how do I come back from a deficit as Rengar? Because I'm always in it. You're not playing it right. You know, that's just the reality of the situation. You're not playing it right. If you have to scale every time you play Rengar because the enemy jungle's ahead and is doing more than you, specifically in this meta, then you're not thinking the right way. Lilia's not gone to the top side. We don't see this, though. The Rengar is just saying, you know what, I'm 10-0-4. This game's free. Let me farm a bit. And that's the thing. Sometimes you can. The mid laner would have to show respect. As always, they won't, but she's kind of fed. But look at this. We're watching this. He's on Wolves. How many of you, and be honest, would finish the Wolves? And then do the Grom? And then do the Herald? Probably most of you. With this fight over here, being 10-0-4, let's go for it. Because, the Orianna dies. She's dead, you don't need to worry about her. Yup, and, you know, is this the more sound play? Yes. You know, if I was an immobile champion that couldn't get to situations, yeah. But I still am very much of the mind, you see something like this happen, rotate. And if you get nothing, don't say, oh, I got nothing, this sucks. I mean, it does suck, but you just got 2 more kills. There's a dragon spawning. Now bottom lane is basically... I think they're tilted, which is why this video is probably going to be a little shorter. But I want to see the closeout. Because this is important stuff, you know, to consider. But this should have been gone by the Lily 100%. Right, back to base. We should have our Essence Reaver now. There we go. Probably go into the Collector next, into a Lord Dominic's 35% magic armor penetration, excuse me. And now your bottom lane can go ahead and make these plays. And usually what happens is they overcommit and die. So let's see. There you go. Rengar doesn't care about his camps, his farm. I mean, they're not up anyway, but rotate to this, invade. This is now the next step, right? You've had this perfect game. You've had control, and too often people assume this. They take the lead for granted. Go and invade. Just walk into their jungle. Beautiful. Actually, we can watch that again in slow motion, because that was just clean. That was clean. You know? We have a control ward in our pocket, right? You hop the wall, you see her, you place it, you jump out of the bush, she dies. You can stack Conquer easy. Translate that into an ult, which means now you can triple Q. Not that we need to triple Q, yeah. I mean, I think one auto attack would do the work. And now we got a dragon. Top lane is doing what top lane... See, look. Camille does Camille things on the baby Nah. Now, if Lilia had thought differently and not tilted, there were ways she could have gotten back in the game just by letting Rengar play with the toys, you know, and trying her best to let it scale. But Rengar is one of the most heavy scaling junglers because you can just keep buying itemization that makes you stronger and stronger and stronger. And of course, look here. I mean, this is close, but Kai'Sa dies. Pyke goes up and dies. He just died. You know, everyone else is kind of faltering a little bit, but Rengar is keeping his mind about him and just making sure that he does the right thing to keep them down and snowball the lead for victory. Now, we do need a Herald. I think here you can look to trap. Yeah, that's... Ooh, walk closer. He doesn't have a ward. People always underestimate the Rengar jump in the mid bush here. I mean, they'll stand here versus a friend Rengar, but with the timer being what it is with the movement speed, you get to here before you leap, and you just die. There's just no respect. This is good. He knows that the Gnar died, he knows that the Pyke died, he knows that they're all on this top side, so he loops back into his jungle, and he can lane counter gank with his ult. Okay, okay, good flash. There we go, perfect, nice. Misses the Gnar ult as well. Orianna TP's in. There you go. I mean, it's not clean from everyone else, right? I mean, this is volatile. If you didn't have this lead, I could very easily see the enemy team coming back, especially in something like Plat or Diamond. Herald Juice. Top lane tower gets taken. Kai'Sa's pushing bot lane. We push this out. We can reset. We should have the Lord Dominic's first. I mean, I suppose at this point it's just Snowball. Might as well get it done. I think he does go Collector though still. Which, I mean, I get it. But fourth? It's actually underrated by people. Again, look. Just ignores this into this area. And as I was saying, it's kind of underrated for magic damage doers as well as physical damage doers. Getting early penetration as soon as they get, like, she gets Tabbies and Zhonya's, right? She's gonna get this, which, you know, killing a unit grants 1 armor. 0 out of 30. It's a little late, but she's gonna have it. Bard will most likely get tankier as well. Having this early on negates any hope that they might have. So I like going this third, especially in this kind of environment. And adaptive itemization is important. A lot of Assassin players, Rengar players specifically, love to talk about like having core itemization routines and so on, but sometimes adaptation is your best friend. Actually, most of the time it is, outside of your first 2 items or so. See, look at this. This is what I'm talking about. You know, fall back here, wait for the Senna. She's not on the field. There's no reason to push. We're not going to have the numbers. There are a very annoying team combo if they get going and they group up together. The Rengar, though, has his ult here. I just basically... no, Katarina, don't do it. She did it. You don't want to be there. He has Herald too now. So Orianna rotates here. I mean, you don't want to inhib here. You could, but because everyone else is dead, you have no pressure anywhere else. You'd have to think about the timer here. I had a game early today where people pushed an inhib versus a Jinx, Katarina, Leona, and it was just Yone top lane. We were far ahead, and then they just pushed this inhibitor, and they just got juiced. They were 2 levels up. We had to fight for 30 minutes to actually win the game because they just got so far ahead in experience. Not in Dragons and Barons, mind you, but a little bit of restraint on inhibitor. A little bit of restraint on inhibitor taking is always good. Right. The Senna does things. She's on Cracker Slayer Rageblade, and I don't think there's too much left to do here. What we want to make sure we do is any sort of picks out of position, we remove them from the game. I would rewind, but I think thematically it's good we didn't see it. She just died. You have Herald now, and we have Dragons, so straightforward how to close the game. I think we should be here now. I don't like falling back here whatsoever. I think this is silly. He's not even close to 15. There's no reason to go to Raptors. You have the Herald. You could actually probably just end the game very soon. So this is enjoying himself a little bit. I mean, you see, there was no point to that. This is just a mishap. But this is what I'm talking about. Okay, Rengar just says, okay, wait, I'm here. Yeah, you gotta be with your team. Imagine if he's with his team and they make this play and you Herald, you just win off of it. Because look, as I said, they're irritating. They got resets, they got damage, they got scaling. I mean, you win it because the Rengar is so fed, but if you're not there and they all die and get aced, you can't blame your team. You went to Raptors instead. But this looks like it might be very close to ending. I don't anticipate many... Yeah, there you go. So here they reset, they do the Baron, and then they'll close. So, a very snowball-y game, but as you can see, 137 Gnar, 218 Orianna. She played very well, though. The Senna and the Pike took off. Nice snowball-y, scaly lane, and there's a dead Lilia somewhere. But that was because of Rengar's play, you know? He went down here early with his lead. They got a whole bunch of stuff. He used the bush play again, just like in the top lane. Automatic, beautifully done. And his team got a lot of gold from this and a lot of pressure, such that they could do things themselves. And in low elo, you'll say, well, you know what? They just stand at each other and they hit each other. Yeah. So why don't you make sure your team just has more numbers? And then if, you know, they hit their skill shots and their auto attacks, they win by default. That's the low elo strategy. Make sure your team wins a stat check, and you should have no issue. And in high elo, obviously, this kind of lead is very rarely relinquished, but as you can see, there are moments where in Platinum and Diamond, people will be in the wrong place, like that Bird was. Actually, his wrong place was being in the game at all. And you throw those leads, so... Perfect Rengar gameplay, 22-0-4. He went with the Collector, there we go. Probably just go full crit for the memes at this point. But thank you very much for watching. I will be actually streaming very soon. Yeah, shortly on Twitch. Follow me on there and join that as well. Subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed and learned something, as well as the main channel for a video coming probably Saturday. Bit light week on that channel. And as always, I will see you all in the next video.